Hi everyone, I killed myself and my family. That was an introduction to a lengthy suicide note on Instagram. It was later used to explain information on how the Ala neighborhood lost a wonderful family to two suicidal teenage boys. A family of six was found dead in their residence. A 19-year-old boy, Farhan Tauhid, and his 21-year-old brother, Tanvir Tauhid, had killed all four members of their family in a deadly murder-suicide. The deceased included the two brothers and four family members. The family members were Tauhid Islam, the father, Irene Islam, the mother, Altafun Nessa, the grandmother, and Farbin Tauhid, the sister. The two suicide brothers shot their own flesh and blood at random. When the job was done, they later turned the gun on themselves and pulled the trigger. Known to their friends and neighborhood as a tight-knit, loving family and a successful family, it was devastating for the community to see such a well-known family. The Tauhid family had moved to Allen, Texas to New York, which was their original place of residence. The father, Mr. Tauhid, worked in an information technology center. Their mother, Irene, was a housewife whose primary duties was to look after her kids and the house. Altafun, who was the children's grandmother, was also a victim. She was visiting from Bangladesh and was arranged to travel back home a week before the deadly incident. But unfortunately, due to restrictions of COVID-19, her travel plans were cut short. Farhan was a college student taking computer science classes at the University of Texas in Austin, but he later dropped out of school after talking about his mental health with his roommate on campus. He said in a suicide note that he was evicted from campus, but according to a spokesperson from the University of Texas at Austin, they said that Farhan and Tauhid voluntarily withdrew from school in January and his housing was cancelled after his withdrawal. So obviously there is some conflicting information coming from the suicide note and coming from the spokesperson from the University of Texas campus itself. And as for Farhan's older brother Tanvir, they did go to the same university, but it's unclear if they dropped out together or if he left prior to Farhan's leaving himself. Fabrin, the twin sister to Farhan and a young sibling to Tanvir, was expected to join New York University after receiving a full scholarship award. On the outside, this was a picture-perfect family that no one could have ever thought would go out in a tragic way. Allen police had done a wellness check on Monday morning at the red brick house that the Tauhid family lived in after receiving a distress call. The welfare check was based on a call from one of the family friends who came across a random suicide letter on Farhan's Instagram. The family friend was in distress and concerned that she actually reached out to the police and hinted upon a possible suicide mission as she had thought. Not known to her, it was more than just a suicide mission, but it was also a murder exhibition as well. However, upon arriving to the residence, the police opened the door to a sad death scene. The family had died from gunshot wounds. According to the police speech given to the public, Farhan and his brother had planned a month prior on how to execute the heinous activity on the family and themselves. This was according to the drone composition written in Farhan's Instagram. It is not clear when the two brothers decided to execute the entire family and the killing of themselves, but the investigation report by the police is of the opinion that it might have happened on Saturday night for a pretty low crime area that is not really used to these crimes. This dark tragedy came as a shock to the whole community. Sayad Chandri, a 60-year-old and a family friend, could not believe her ears when she heard what happened to a family that she didn't think had any problems in their home. Investigators indicated that the crime committed by the two brothers that befell the family was based on a pact that they had made earlier. According to the Instagram post that one of the brothers had posted, goes into detail to explain how the sons of Mr. Tawhid were suffering from depression. Farhan, the 19-year-old, went ahead to mention that he was depressed ever since 2016. He said, and I quote, "For those who don't know, I've had depression since 9th grade." And at the time, he was in denial about his depression. He also said in the post, and I quote, "No, the damn, I failed my test. Depression, everyone says they have. More like I only cut myself twice today. That's better than usual." And a friend of Farhan from school mentioned that it was not the first time he encountered Farhan cutting himself when he was alive. He said that Farhan was known to use sharp objects while in school to hurt himself regularly. His older brother was also battling depression too. Tanvir, the older brother, was described with his younger brother as being socially anxious and constantly depressed. Based on the Instagram post that Farhan posted to his page, it was pretty clear that they were already standing on the edge and they had had enough. In the official reports, it indicated that Farhan's mental illness had gotten worse, which led his family to try and help him, and his father tried to help him out by checking him in a mental camp as the only option a parent could have thought of doing at the time. According to the Instagram post, this is what Farhan said about it, and I quote, "Eventually, I was thrown into some teen mental health camp where I was finally diagnosed and got medication, but obviously that mental health camp did not help at all. He came back home feeling same or if not worse." However, according to other reports, the two brothers had made a suicide agreement that if they did not get any help for their depression within a year, they will commit suicide, and ending their life was the only solution for their miseries, according to the police report. Obviously, they did not get the help they think they should have gotten. When the time came, Tanvir went ahead and helped his younger brother purchase 2 guns which they used to complete the task. Here is what they said, and I quote, "I will say the only hard part of the plan was getting the guns, and Farhan, before he died, he basically criticized American gun laws. He said, and I quote, "Gun control in the US is a joke," and it is pretty obvious that the statements were emotional before he died. Being young and uneducated, he did not understand that each state had its own requirement for who and how you could purchase a weapon. But since he lived in Texas, it is pretty easy to get one if you pass the background check and are of age and you fill out all required documents. But he said, and I quote, "There was a question asking if I had mental illness, but get this, I lied. Thanks for making the process easy." Obviously, he was being sarcastic in his final words. In other case, the boys were able to purchase 2 guns and they purchased the guns legally from the store. All they had to do was lie about their mental state if questioned and sign the forms. The guns were used to kill their family members as planned by the brothers a year prior, and in the 6-page suicide note, Farhan created a picture of how they were going to murder their family and then kill themselves. They were to get 2 guns and divide them among themselves. Tanvir was to use one of the guns to take out his parents, while Farhan handled his sister and grandmother. Afterwards, they were to take themselves out using the same guns. The neighbors reported not hearing gunshots, so the police were never alarmed of any firearms in the area. As far as why they killed their own family members instead of just ending their own lives, the theory is that the two brothers did not want to kill themselves, leaving their family members behind in pain. So instead of just taking themselves out, they would rather bring the whole family along with them. Farhan did indicate that he did not have any malice towards them. In fact, he loved them. He loved his father, his sister, his mom, and his grandmother. Also, he said that the fact that he would be doing the family a favor by killing them, as they will not have to live in guilt and despair. I know for some of you listening, it sounds weird, but it does happen. A lot of these murders or suicide happen because people feel like their family members won't be able to live without them. It's obvious that we have an epidemic of mental health problem that is causing young men with guns to kill people because they feel they have nothing else to live for. Personally, I think it's someone's choice to choose whether they get to live or to die. That was selfish of them, and whatever they did, even though they blamed it on mental health illness, but I still feel that they could have chosen another option. They could have asked for more help. All the killing and the suicide was unnecessary. In any case, let me know your thoughts down below. As always, thanks for watching. I really appreciate all your support. It's been me, Nasra. Until next time, bye bye.